Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of the practice problems from the chapter 6 homework. Okay, so I'm going to skip over the what can go wrong and the vocabulary. I think you guys are able to do that on your own, but we're going to work through some of the practice problems together. Okay, so practice problem number 1 says look at the scatter plots. Which shows little or no association, which shows a negative association, which shows a linear association, which shows a moderately strong association, which shows a very strong association. Okay, so I'm going to say, and these graphs are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and you may have some of them that satisfy all of these or none of these. So let's go ahead and take a look. Which shows little or no association. I'm going to say for that one, it's graph number 1. Okay, little or no association here. Okay, which shows a negative association. So negative means it's going downhill. Okay, so that would be graph number 4. Okay, which shows a linear association. I would say this one here looks pretty straight. Also, this one here looks pretty straight. So remember, linear meaning straight. If we best fit it, we would best fit it with a straight line or straight line there. So I would say 2 and 4. B for part C. Okay, which shows a moderately strong association. Okay, even though this one is not linear, I would say this one has a moderately strong association, and so does this one over here. So I'd say 3 and 4. Okay, and then which one shows a very strong association? I'd probably say the strongest one looks like this one right here. So I would say graph number 2. Okay, number 2 says, for which of the scatter plots in the previous problem would it be inappropriate to calculate the correlation? Okay. When we're looking at calculating the correlation, number 1, we probably want to make sure that it's looking like it's going to be linear, and that there is some association there. So I'm going to say inappropriate would probably be graph 3, because this one is looking like it's doing some kind of curve. Okay. And I mean, even though this one has no association, we could probably come up with a correlation coefficient. It'd probably be around 0. So even though it looks like there's no association, we can come up with a correlation coefficient, which would just be telling us that there's not really an association. But I would say this one is the one that would be inappropriate, okay, because it's clear there is a curve, but this one is non-linear. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and let's pop over to problem number 3. It says here are several scatter plots. The calculated correlations are these values right here. Okay, which is which? All right, so remember what this is telling us. If it's a negative correlation coefficient, then that means the graph is going downhill. Okay, if it's positive, okay, that means it's going uphill. Okay, if it's close to -1 or +1, that means it's strong. If it's close to 0, that means it's weak. Okay, so when I'm looking, I see 2 negative correlation coefficients. I see for sure 1 trending downhill. Okay, out of these 2, this is very strong. This is very, very, very weak. So I'm going to say that part A is the negative 0.977. Okay, now I'm going to skip over this one here. Well, we can go ahead and do that one. This one is telling me there's a very, very weak correlation. I know it says negative, but it's so close to 0 that you're almost not even going to be able to see a trend, whether it's negative or positive. So weak, very weak. Yeah, right there. Okay, so D is going to be negative 0.021. Okay, between these 2, this one here is stronger. This one is weaker. They're both positive. So when I'm looking here, okay, I'm definitely seeing that this one here looks stronger. This one looks weaker. Okay, So I'm going to go, this is the stronger one. So C is going to be that 0.951 and D will be, B, your choice B will be the weaker one, which is 0.736. Okay. All right. So any questions there? Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. Okay. So number 4 says marine biologists warn that the growing number of powerboats registered in Florida threatens the existence of manatees. The following data below comes from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and the National Marine Manufacturers Association. Okay, in this context, which is the explanatory variable? Okay, so what we're looking at is which one of these is explaining the other. So when we look at the two variables we have here, we have powerboat registrations and manatees killed. So is it that the number of manatees killed is influencing the powerboat registrations? Or is it that the powerboat registrations are influencing the number of manatees killed? Likely that way around. The powerboat registrations is going to influence how many manatees are killed. Likely the more powerboats you have registered, and we see this over the trend over the years, the more manatees that are being killed, right? We're not having people registering for powerboats because manatees are being killed. It's the other way around, right? So powerboat registration is going to be your explanatory variable because it is influencing number of manatees killed. Okay. All right. It next is asking us to make a scatter plot for the data. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that.